You're watching Finding Gino, a space where we drink chocolate milk any time of the day because we're adults. As you know, I'm currently giving my old family home a facelift because she's old as fuck. And I'm doing a series about how home renovations is a lot like the emotional and mental healing process. What is with these arms? Today I'd like to talk about the fear of embarking on this journey, of renovating the inner world. And maybe help rebranding dealing with issues. It doesn't have to look like thousands of dollars spent on self-help shit. I do like self-help books. I think they're very, very helpful to the self. Deciding to do a renovation is so much easier because you got someone else doing the hard and dirty work for you, but when you have to face your own pain and trauma, it is terrifying. But there's no but. There's no but. No! I am struggling today. Knowing that I am going to have to feel this intense pain that I have tucked away so nicely in my ass is horrifying. I say ass because studies have shown that a lot of stress is caught in the ass. No jokes. Apparently, if you clench your ass really tightly, you cannot take in deep breaths and it cuts off your circulation. Try taking a deep breath, but clench your ass real tight and then... See? It's hard. So it's important to have a loosey-goosey, assy-wassy. What we don't deal with will come back to take us down. It's just a matter of when. For me, it was my epic crash in 2017. My first epic crash, by the way. There were several after that. I'm so grateful for that. Because of that crash, I sought professional help and learned how to navigate and deal with my emotions. I hope I can encourage you to start that process and not be like me and get burnt out with an unrecognizable ass. There is such a stigma towards therapy, especially in Singapore. You know, if you tell someone you're going to therapy, some people will be like, huh? What's wrong with you? Something wrong with you, ah? Crazy, ah? No, Mrs. Liu, I love paying people to listen to my problems rather than save money to go on vacations. Which I went to one recently though, to Thailand. It's very cheap, where I got stung by a freaking stingray. I think it's a stingray. That's what the doctors at Thailand said when they saw the wound. And I was fine, but then I came back to Singapore and then it got infected and now I'm nursing this chubby monster. You wanna see it? Look away if you don't wanna see it. Do you think I need to moisturize it? Okay, you can open your eyes now. Anyways, let's just focus on one issue at a time, and that is rebranding therapy. Woo! I think it's time for a rebrand because a lot of people see therapy as individuals going to therapists to complain about their lives and doing absolutely nothing about it. But I really see therapy as getting fit. Like going to the gym, eating better, is something that people admire and probably encourage. Maybe you have a weak back that gives way frequently. Like having a weak point in you that gets triggered a lot. And going to the gym will help strengthen your back, and in the same way, going to therapy will help strengthen that area that gets triggered easily. I feel the reason why we fear dealing with emotions is because we're embarrassed by them. I used to be immensely embarrassed by all the emotions that I had. I would apologize for every feeling that I had, and especially when I cried. It was just the worst. Isn't it funny how we're so embarrassed about crying now when there was a time when we just didn't give a fuck about it? There was a time where you didn't give a fuck who was around. You just go, wah! I don't see babies apologizing. I think they should. Just because you can't speak doesn't mean you can't apologize. There's so many other ways of apologizing, you know, through body language. Crying is the ultimate loss of control, but it's also the most freeing emotional expression, and it brings a lot of healing as well.
Dr. Caroline Leaf, this super duper legit science lady, says that prolactin is one of the main chemicals that is released when we cry. Although prolactin is released when breastfeeding, it is also released in both males and females in response to negative and positive stress, and may help us manage our stress response. Other chemicals related to crying are oxytocin, vasopressin, and endogenous opioids, all of which can make us feel calm and more in control when released.
I don't know if I pronounced any of those words right, but it sounds like if you want to save money on happy pills, drugs, and alcohol, just cry, man. Babies get it for free. Let it out. Wah. Babies and kids do 4 things. They poop, eat, peep. Pee, not peep, and cry. All of which we still do to this day, but for some reason we have decided that crying is just for babies. I think it's a pharmaceutical conspiracy. I think some pharmacists out there were like, if we can shame people into not crying, we can mess them up and give them drugs to make them feel better, even though they have the ability to self-soothe, self-regulate, and dull their pain. Alrighties, enough of my jibber jabber. I would like to introduce you to a wonderful, wonderful human and surfing instructor and surf extraordinaire, Chelsea Lewis, who is going to share about what she has learned from surfing, ocean, and the waves. And yes, you must be wondering, what does surfing have to do with dealing with your emotions? Everything, and it's so fucking cool. But for real though, I think that the ocean is a lot like emotions, right? It's uncontrollable, untamable. You don't know where it comes from, you don't know where it goes, and learning how to navigate that is like surfing. Yes, I am adding another analogy to this. Can learning about surfing teach us more about the inner life and health and growth? I say yes, beachers! I wanted to do a pun on beach.
Oh, right.
I'm going surfing this morning. This smile is part nerves, part excitement. We'll see what happens. Guess who's here? You could technically get a friend to teach you surfing, the same way you could use a friend as a therapist. But it's often best to get a pro who has experience in helping people navigate the challenges of starting something new.
Especially if you're feeling intimidated, that's not the time to just like grab a board and ask your friend that knows how to surf to be like, take me out. Because number one, that's not what they do for a living. And, yes, they are probably great people and they're trying their best to help you, but they might not always know what equipment to put you on. They might not always have that equipment. But even with instructors, of course, you're gonna be wiping out, you're gonna be falling and stuff, but you're just gonna be building confidence. You're gonna be having more success. Your learning curve will be much greater with some help. Not that you couldn't get there maybe even on your own, but it will take way more time, much more energy, and it will take you dealing with facing your fears a little earlier than you might want to. If you're feeling intimidated by it for whatever reason, I think once people try it, they often realize like, oh, this isn't as scary as I thought, or this isn't as bad as I thought. But you just don't know until you try. And we have the philosophy of anybody can surf. Doesn't matter who you are, from 2 to 99, you can do it if you want to try. You just have to be willing to give it a try.
Some people that I have spoken to avoid seeking help because they're afraid of what they might come up against. But I say that revisiting your past is like falling into water. It is soft and it is forgiving and you won't get hurt.
With surfing and dealing with the elements and being rocked by the waves, being rocked by the ocean, being tossed around and beat up a little bit. You just get a little bit like, oh, okay, I got this. I'm okay. I can survive these difficult situations and come back up and I'm fine. Majority of people that surf, they're dealing with getting tossed around by waves on a regular basis, but it's very rare for you to be getting like a serious injury.
So that is falling into the ocean. But speaking of falling into the ocean of your heart, you're not creating new injuries. The wound has been there a long time ago and it is just screaming for attention and the triggers are just pressing against that wound. So the faster you deal with it, the less it will sting, or the less it would get infected and blown up like my freaking chubby monster foot. The thing that embarrassed me the most about being emotional is looking like I have no control. I hate not looking like I have everything together, like super cool, cigarette. I don't know why cigarette means you have everything together. When we're emotional, we feel vulnerable and we equate that to weakness, but if you really think about it, which is harder? To stuff everything in your butt or to let it all out? I realized that the gauge of having it together is not looking good on the outside, but how loose my ass feels. I'm sure Yoda has said this one way or another, but the way to master control is to recognize that there are things that you can't control.
You can't just go, wave, do this, and it does it. It's like surrendering to it, allowing something else to take over, but then learning how you can be in harmony with that. You don't have to control it. You can kind of go with it, going with the flow, moving with that ocean, not fighting it. Because as soon as you start to fight it, you exhaust yourself, you get tired, you start not being successful, you start having a lot more struggles. Just give in to that power, that energy, then you can find this sort of relaxation, not just of the body, but of the mind too. It also reminds you that you're tough, that you're able to deal with difficult situations and get through them and even come out on the other side even better. Sometimes the toughest days out there surfing, the ones that kick your butt the hardest, are the ones you learn the most from.
I hope I was able to rebrand dealing with your emotions as something cool, but Regardless of whether you think it's cool or not, seriously, it will bring so much freedom to your soul.
Fight and you may die. Run and you'll live. At least a while. And dying in your beds many years from now, would you be willing to trade all the days from this day to that for one chance, just one chance, to come back here and tell our enemies that they may take our lives, but they'll never take our freedom!
On that butt, thank you for watching Finding Gino. My name is Gino. Come find me.
Keep walking past the waves, so keep coming on in. Good, and then go ahead and come on down.
Thank you so much.
You're
Thank
welcome.